The merch is landed. That's right, the merch drop. We're going to show you pieces from that new merch drop. Plus, we're catching up on the Worlds and the NHL playoffs, all on today's Locked On Mammoth podcast.
You are Locked On Mammoth, your daily podcast on the Utah Mammoth, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone. Welcome into the Locked On Mammoth podcast. I'm veteran NHL voice Tom Callahan, joined by longtime team analyst Robyn Leaño, and we are here with Locked On Mammoths. This is a bit of a catch-up podcast for us. There's been a lot going on this week, and so we're going to look at the new merch drop, which is always exciting. There's some cool stuff in there. Plus, we're going to catch you up on what's going on in the World Championships, and we'll take a look at the NHL playoffs as well. Still a couple of questions to be answered, but I think we're finding out a lot more than we thought we would by this point. So, Robyn, let's start off first and foremost with what impacts our Mammoth fans the most. That's got to be the merch drop. Already, I'm seeing some items of the new Mammoth merch that dropped on Fanatics is approaching a sellout status already. That's wild.
I know, it is wild. And I mean, like, we got close to that, right? When I think going back to last summer when UHC merch first dropped, right? And that was available at the Delta Center during the prospect scrimmage. And remember this, Tom, like there was a line and then they cut off the line, like, all right, we sold out after this person or whatever. And I mean, now that most of it's available online, what we're seeing is that happen in the very same way for Mammoth gear. And it just shows just how much this team, this city, the state, or I could just say the fans, because there's fans outside, lots of fans outside of Utah just fully embracing the new name, fully embracing and just being, you know what, it's toss up till we die.
You know what, Robyn? I did not see, and taking a look at this, I saw the old jerseys that are on the Fanatic site. I didn't see any new ones, even for pre-orders.
Yeah.
So
I think if like you had to be under a special invite list to even get a pre-order available, most likely. And probably if you're a season ticket holder, or if you did however way they decide that you get a special invite for that, because that's going to be very limited quantities to start out with, right?
Yeah.
And because as we talked about before, they only get a limited amount in one batch and then the rest in another batch. So we're only going to see the rest of them come probably closer to the beginning of the season.
And I know we will have more and more merch as we go. And right now, a lot of the merch is still commingling in there. But I wanted to take a look at a couple of the highlights, Robyn. One of the things I did notice is that there's more stuff that you could personalize on the Fanatics site than I've seen before. And starting out with, they have a lot of stuff also for kids and babies. They have a lot of bibs that you can personalize, duffel bags, backpacks, all that sort of thing that come with a Mammoth logo. You can get them in pink, black, blue, and it's the ice blue, and with the Mammoth logo, and then throw your name on it. So I thought that was cool. And then a bunch of different pucks and drinkware and mugs, as you might expect, mingled in with a fair offering of things like t-shirts and fan packs. Robyn, I did say, and I don't know if I got a picture of it or not, there's a fan pack that has a flag and a lanyard and something else in it. Like that might be your point of entry, but nice to see the Mammoth head featured on a lot of these. But I also noticed they're going pretty strong with the U on this.
It looks like it. I mean, again, the U looks pretty cool, right? We've seen it with the tusk swoosh that kind of passes through it. But of course, the Mammoth head at this point now, it's iconic. Love how they feature so much in there. And I'm looking right there. I see that neon light too. I think that would be really cool for.
I like the neon light. Yes.
Like, I'm already imagining one of like. And not to kind of separate, on gender or anything like this, but you usually see like a guy fan, they're gonna put it in their quote man cave, right? It seems like one of those things they put in there, right? And I'll be honest, it looks cool.
I thought about getting one for the.
So
I thought about getting one for the show.
that
Honestly,
I mean, that'd be cool too. I mean, absolutely. And maybe you can get one of those for the show, and I can get something else. Like it's, I would say flag, but I feel like that's too college kid.
that is a giant flag, though. That is a full size 3x5 flag that they have there.
And I already have currently in my apartment 2 3x5 flags, different, for different things. But
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, you've got a jersey on display back there. How about there's that fan pack I was talking about? It's a koozie that also comes with the flag and the lanyard. I actually really like.
is that a flag or that's there? Is that a magnet?
Let's. You know what? Now I'm gonna have to go back and look. If you give me a moment.
I think that's a magnet, because for $20, I feel like those three at that a magnet would make sense.
So that's is it 20? Oh geez. Now I'm gonna have to go all the way back and look over in the Fanatic site. We did this, and then of course, you're grabbing stuff and screen grabbing and catching stuff as we roll through here and just trying to see what's out there. And really just trying to digest. There's a lot of options for fans. And again, if I would recommend this, Robyn. If you want Utah Hockey Club stuff, it is still there. Some of it's going on clearance, by the way. That is indeed a magnet. You are correct.
I just got the eye for it.
Yes, you do have the eye for it. You could be a merch director. So I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff going on there, but again, no jerseys yet. There's t-shirts, there's hoodies. There's actually some pretty sweet starter satin jackets that are already selling out in various sizes. So the black 2X is gone, so Tom missed his chance on that one. But I'm an old school guy. I like my starter satin jackets.
I mean, satin. I just satin jackets in general are pretty cool. I've got a pretty shiny satin 49ers bomber jacket. One of those classic ones from like the 80s they would see. I got one of those.
So I still have my first ever starter satin jacket was a Blue Jays one, and I still have that. But recently I did get a chance to upgrade my Buffalo Bills wardrobe, and I got me a Bills one. So it's just an iconic look, and I love it. It feels very sports. So I could picture, was your 49ers jacket gold and it says 49ers on the back? It's got the SF on the front. Is that
correct?
The one?
Yep.
Yeah. No, I know exactly which one that
you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I know exactly which one that is. That was always the cool thing. And it's neat to see that it's kind of coming around again. So a whole new generation. Believe me, there are a bunch of fans, Robyn, out there who are either experiencing this for the first time or are like me in the nostalgia phase and remembering some of the stuff and going, this is awesome. I love that it's coming back. So that's fun to see the trends and what's going on.
Yeah.
But just as we'll put it up on screen one more time. And look, we don't have a code for you for Fanatics. I wish we did. That would get you some kind of discount or something. We don't, unfortunately. We're not sponsored by them. They have nothing to do with us, but I just wanted to throw some stuff up there for you and this is just a smattering of what they have. They have a ton of different stuff. But I really, you know what? More and more, I like the U with the Tusk logo. That's really growing on me.
It really looks pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah, absolutely. So don't miss out if there is anything you want. I mean, some stuff, like I say, is kind of reaching sellout mode, like the satin jackets. But
and just be a heads up that I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are already used to it since you went through this when when merch went online for UHC stuff. It might take a while for it to ship to you if that's what your decision is. If you wanted to get the ship, it will take some time, especially if you end up getting put them on back order.
Yeah. Yep. So that's an excellent point, Robyn. All right, we don't want to talk about that. Now we're going to talk about Utah Hockey Club players at the World Championships. You're not going to believe who's actually kind of lighting it up over there. We're going to talk about that. And when we come back, also, we'll catch up on the NHL playoffs. We're narrowing the field as we get down to it here. So World Championship update coming up next. And today's show is brought to you in part by Game Time. There's nothing like playoff hockey. You know that. I know that. The energy, the rivalries, the nonstop action, and with Stanley Cup playoffs heating up right now, there's never been a better time to see it live. And Game Time makes getting in on the building fast and affordable. Game Time gives you last-minute ticket deals, zone deals for deep discounts, panoramic seat views, and all-in pricing with no hidden fees. Plus, tickets often drop the closer you get to puck drop, so you can score big without overpaying. Now that we know there's going to be a Game 7 in Toronto, holy cow, Game Time might be your best friend. I love it because of the zone deals. You can save huge. They pick the best seats at the lowest price, and you can see your exact seat view, which I also really appreciate. Especially, I like baseball a lot. Different baseball stadiums, different seating viewpoints and everything. It's just completely different. It's always good to see that before you get in there. So it's kind of like a life hack. You get your tickets on the fly, and they're so good every single time. Oh, by the way, you want to plan ahead? The NFL schedule release just dropped, and a lot of teams, by the way, did awesome jobs on their videos. And you better believe I'm already looking at the fall calendar and picking which Bills games I'm going to try to hit on the road because I will probably do that. You'll find great seats for as low as $100 thanks to exclusive discounts. And with the Game Time guarantee, tickets are 100% authentic, will arrive on time, and you'll always get the best price with fees included. So what you see is what you pay. If you've never used Game Time to grab NFL seats, now's the time. It's seriously a game day upgrade. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use our code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Tom Callahan, Robyn Leaño here with you on the Locked On Mammoth podcast. We're going to be here with you rolling every single day right up through the draft, through free agency, on into the summer here. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every single day. We appreciate all of you. And if you're still here and you haven't yet, please subscribe to the show or the podcast, depending on how you're checking us out. We are available on YouTube and everywhere you get your podcasts. So, Robyn, time to talk about World Championships a little bit here. And the most recent update for day 6, Team USA ends up with a big win. Actually, Norway really did a nice job to come back in this. Norway scored 4 in a row to push it to overtime at 5. You want to talk about biting your nails? Oh my goodness. I was concerned. I'm not going to lie. But Tage Thompson wins it in overtime, and he had a hat trick in the game, the Buffalo Sabre there. So how about Clayton Keller scoring again? So it's his first multi-point game of the tournament. Had a goal, 2 assists in the game, 5 shots against Norway. Good for him. Logan Cooley had an assist in the game. Josh Doan was a healthy scratch Monday, came back into the lineup, and was on the 4th line for the game. So it's good to see the American players making a big dent right now. And I mean, we didn't expect anything less from Clayton Keller, but pretty excited too to see Logan Cooley chipping in there and Josh Doan having a bounce back game. That's great to see.
I mean, it's always nice to see, right? I mean, especially if you're getting if you're seeing like an increased level of production from the Mammoth players, and be like, hey, take a look at this Utah representation happening, across the World Championship again, particularly for Team USA, because USA, and of course Captain America, Clayton Keller, Captain America.
Yeah, we really got it. We got it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna call him that from now on.
I like it. Yeah, Cooley's having a really good tournament so far. He 2 goals, 2 assists. I really like what he's doing. I think that's important for the development of the team. Barrett Hayton's got a couple of helpers in the tournament. He's playing very well for Team Canada. So happy to see that for him as well. And both the U.S. and Canada doing pretty well in the round robin portion of the play right now. The other guys we're keeping an eye. Maximilian Zuber, by the way, still playing for Germany in an interesting role. I mean, Zuber's getting his shots on goal, not really finding the score sheet, but that's not really what you expect, I think, out of Zuber in this particular case. So,
also particularly, and this is not a knock on Germany, but I mean, Germany kind of has always been a closer to second tier versus your Sweden and Canada and US. Like those are your tier 1 teams.
Yes. Absolutely. And the last time Veggie played for Czechia was against Norway. That was a couple of days ago and stopped 22 of 23 to pick up the win. So good to see Veg in there picking up the win there for Czechia. And you know what? With the Worlds, Robyn, we're going to get to the end of round robin play relatively soon here. And I think that it's really going to get interesting as we kind of narrow things down. But there's a really good chance everybody who went over for Utah Hockey Club is still playing once we get into the elimination portion of the tournament.
I mean, that's kind of nice, isn't it?
It's really cool. Like, I mean, if you're, no matter who you're rooting for or why, you know, if you're a goaltending fan, you want to root for Veg or, you know, obviously Team USA, because there's so many Utah players on there. Or, you know, Zuber on Germany. It's great to see him because he's a developing prospect. And of course, Barrett Hayton on Team Canada.
I feel like Hayton's kind of like the quieter one that people are going to be cheering for, just because. I mean, like, look, I feel like, as I've mentioned before when we talked about grading Hayton, right? I was like, Hayton's kind of one of those players that will fly under the radar when it comes to people cheering for him, but people would want to do so, especially when the what I'll call the Barrett Hayton loyalists, or really firmly believe that he like on with a really good season ahead of him, he really could really take hold of a 1 to 2 C position with the Utah Mammoth.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think he certainly can too. I know he has that in him.
Yes, absolutely does. Absolutely. I agree. So, Robyn, let's talk a little bit about the NHL playoffs here. We're going to update folks on where things are at with the Stanley Cup, what's going on there. We'll talk a little bit more in just a moment. Tom Callahan, Robyn Leaño back here with you, and thank you so much for joining us here in the Locked On Mammoth podcast. Appreciate you being here. Just like I say, a bit of a catch-up show for us. Talk about what's going on. Robyn, we have a couple of answers as to who's getting through, but not everybody just yet. So in the West, we start with the West because that's where the Utah Mammoth play. Edmonton, were you surprised? The Oilers won 4 out of 5 against the Vegas Golden Knights, won that series 4-1 and moved on. The gentleman's sweep, if you will.
You know, it's interesting because if I told you I saw it go this quickly, I'd be lying. But I will say, I mean, in my bracket, I did have the Oilers winning that series against the Golden Knights. To me, I felt like the Oilers were the better team. Yeah, they were ranked lower, they were seated lower, but I felt like they had the bigger talent. I mean, again, the Oilers are just they were just in the Stanley Cup, right? They were so freaking close.
Yeah.
They're going to want to go for a second shot.
Yep. Yeah. And look, when you're one of the last 4 standing, you've got a great chance. And depending on who gets out of the West now, Winnipeg staved off elimination, won at home. Connor Hellebuck with a shutout. And now they're heading back to Dallas for game 6. Winnipeg holds the hammer if it goes to a game 7. Dallas has really impressed me in the postseason. I didn't know what they would look like coming in. They had lost 7 in a row. They had some injuries they were dealing with. Didn't know which Mikko Rantanen you were going to get. Well, we got playoff Mikko Rantanen, who's lighting it up. And they've been, mistake-free. They've looked really, really good. I know they had to go to 7 against Colorado, but Colorado's really good. Like, that was a really good series, and now they're on the verge of pushing out Winnipeg.
And it's really interesting, Tom, and I love to talk about the Dallas Stars for a couple different reasons. One is they were my preseason pick. If you remember, we talked about it. I said my preseason pick for the Stanley Cup is the Dallas Stars. And I still held that firm even after the Stars kind of they looked good. They had a decent season, but then they had some other issues kind of filter in on their way into the playoffs. people questioned whether or not they had the longevity. And I thought to myself, Tom, I'm like, all right, the Dallas Stars in the last however many years, they are, and this is just going to sound like me, trying to live off of what I remember as a hockey fan with my team, but they remind me of what kind of like the similar what the Sharks teams were of the early 2010s, where it's a team that had so much talent and would make it far in the playoffs every single year. Right? It looks like they can do it every single year. People kind of had some doubts, and I feel like that's why I've been attaching to them lately. And I'm like, you know what? They remind me of them. They really do.
Well, hey, this is our Stanley Cup, Robyn, because I picked Winnipeg to win the cup. You picked Dallas to win the cup. So one of us is wrong in this series. One of us is wrong, which is why it's entertaining. So, I mean, Dallas did not have a great game 5, but going home, Dallas is look good at home. So we'll see what's going to come out of that series. And that one will go to game 6. And then if necessary, game 7 goes back to Winnipeg. In the East, also, Robyn, I did not have Carolina knocking out Washington in 5. But they did. And honestly, Carolina, one, looks good, but Washington, I think, just finally ran out of gas.
Yeah, but that's usually going to be the case that happens, right? Like the teams that have really like that just absolutely outshoot everyone and outscore and have some of the best scoring out there. When it comes to playoff time, like it almost seems like they do run out of gas. We see that happen so many times. There's a reason why President's Trophy winners, I know, the Jets being kind of, up there, but they have been shown to not win it. I mean, like they call it the President's Trophy curse for a reason, because they'll lose it. They'll run out of gas at some point.
And doubly so with the emotional charge of Ovechkin chasing Gretzky.
Mm-hmm.
There's all that emotional energy that goes into it, and night in, night out, he was driven. And I think finally when he did it and took a step back and took a breath, and all of a sudden you go,
I feel like
I'm tired.
Yeah. Not only that, the supporting cast was doing as much as they could to make sure he did that. So even they're feeling tired.
Right. It's night in, night out, a whole year, because he didn't do it till the very end of the regular season. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a crazy year for you. So Carolina advances. And now, Robyn, how about this? I didn't see this coming. The Leafs go into Florida. Joseph Woll shuts out the Stanley Cup champion Panthers on home ice. Now they got to go back to Toronto for game 7.
And to a lot of Toronto fans, this is one of the most important games for Toronto fans of the last 30 years. Of the last 30 years. I think even Toronto fans will admit that, because this is as far as they've ever gotten in a long time.
Yep. I mean, think about it. If they make a conference final, that's especially because, Robyn, how many people, national media, local media, certainly in Toronto, we're counting them out. They're like, these guys are done. It's over. Call them the time of death on the Maple Leafs. Like, Florida woke up. They know what's going on. That was a huge effort out of the Leafs to come back and win that game on the road. Yeah, massive.
And now American hockey fans will never hear the end of it. Even though if they do win on a game 7, American hockey fans will never hear the end of it. Or just hockey fans in general will never hear the end of it.
So, all right, Robyn, let's, so I know you're picking Dallas. I'm picking Winnipeg. I'm staying with Winnipeg. I'm calling a Winnipeg comeback. So we don't have to talk about that.
Yeah. No, I'm holding true.
But Leafs Panthers, who wins? Game 7 in Toronto.
The tough one. I'm going to give it to Florida.
I absolutely am giving it to Florida.
Yeah.
I think Toronto doesn't react well in game 7 at home. I just don't think they will. I would like them to.
Don't get me wrong. I feel like, what's called that these days, Scotiabank Arena, it's going to be a hostile place to play. Oh my God. I don't like, Like for a game 7 in the second round, like it's going to be incredible. But Florida's the better team.
Yes.
Like they like on paper, on like a base eye test, everything, they are the better team. And sometimes Toronto can just, they can catch their luck and look better and skate better and get those good bounces. And again, not to say they're not a good team. Toronto's a great team.
It's one game.
Yeah, it's literally now a 1-game playoff for them. Like,
yep, I agree with you. Although, I mean, it'd be, on one hand, historically, would I like to see the Leafs advance? Yeah, maybe once in my lifetime. I'm sure a lot of fans are tired of saying that. But on the other hand, it's like, maybe not.
Because the Leafs had never won 3 rounds of hockey. That's what it was, right? So,
well, not since there were 6 teams in the NHL.
Well, yeah, because at that point they only needed to win 2 rounds.
Right. It took 8 wins to win the Stanley Cup. That's why in Detroit, give you a little history, they throw an octopus on the ice for good luck. Because back when that started in the 50s, you needed 8 wins to win the Stanley Cup. The octopus has 8 tentacles, so they threw the octopus on the ice as an omen of good luck.
I remember that. I remember hearing that story. So, little fun fact for you guys.
There you go. Toss that out there.
And of course, now every other team has little gimmicks on things they throw onto the ice.
Oh, yeah.
Nashville with their catfish, Florida with their rats.
Yep. Do you know the story about the rats? How that came to be in Florida?
I do remember someone telling me, but I can't remember on the top of my head.
So, 96 Stanley Cup final run for the then 2-year-old Florida Panthers. John Van Beesbrook in goal. This team was incredible. They were a team of destiny, or so we thought. But they made it to the 96 Cup final before they got absolutely swept out by the Avalanche. During the run, there was a rat in the Florida locker room. And Scott Mellenby, one of the players, basically one-timed the rat into the wall with a stick. And all of a sudden, the story comes out, and instead of people freaking out about it, they just decided that rats were going to be the thing, and they started bringing all these rats, the rubber rats, to the game, and then the team jumped on and started selling rats, and that became the symbol. And I remember vividly, Robyn, the 96 Stanley Cup final in Florida, Patrick Waugh hiding in his net while the rats rained down. I remember that. And it's brilliant for Florida, because what do? You go out, you scoop up all the rats, you dry them off, you sell them at the next game.
There you go, right?
That's perfect. So, yep, that's where the rats came from in Florida.
A lot easier to be throwing rats than it is to throw catfish or octopus. So,
yes, because those are actual fish that they're throwing, whereas these are just
they smuggle in. I just see people like the Nashville fans when they tape catfish to their bodies and try to.
They do. I actually, when I was working for the Predators, I did a Dodge Ram commercial for them for the radio, and part of my script was talking about smuggling in a catfish. So, yeah, that's the thing in Nashville. I remember that.
I love it.
Yep. All right, Robyn, anything you want to add before we put the bow on this one?
No, just gotta say is, hey, playoff hockey, nothing like it.
Playoff hockey, world championship hockey, and get your merch. So it looks awesome. Really, really excited for that. So, all right, Robyn, where can folks find us on social if they so desire?
They can find us absolutely everywhere on social. Literally, just pick your favorite social site. You can find us at Locked On Mammoth. You can find me personally on Twitter/X at Robyn_Leaño and on Blue Sky at Robyn Nice Time.
I'm on Blue Sky at Tom Talks, on Twitter at Callahan on Air. And I'm so glad we have a team name now. So that's exciting stuff. So we are now at Locked On Mammoth everywhere. All right. For Robyn Leaño, I am Tom Callahan. Thanks for joining us. If you like the show, please tell your friends. We appreciate you always being a part of Locked On Mammoth.